And we're live. Welcome to the next edition of the Professional Practice Builders Society Weekly Tips and Strategy Show. I'm your hilarious laughing host, Chris M. Sprague, and the person who's making me laugh is the guy, whoops, this way, sitting right over here, Dr. Mark Kosman. Say hi to the folks, Dr. Mark.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Mark Kosman, as Chris M. Sprague just told you. And we're hoping that this week you can actually hear us and see us, since we're getting better at this.
Yes, so we figured we'd give you a bonus this week and actually let you see us and hear us. Since last week, we know that the brave souls out there who joined us actually couldn't hear us, and we apologize for that. But anyway, let's talk about this week's topic. And the interesting part, Dr. Mark, is the fact that when we first started talking about this, you mentioned pain and finding the client's pain, and I immediately thought, why?
I love pain.
Everybody
good.
I was going to say, doesn't everybody want to avoid pain? I mean, it's not like we're in the military. We're going, give me more, drill sergeant, give me more. What is this all about, the pain and your client's pain?
Well, absolutely. Yes. The whole point is that people want to get away from their pain, and that pain is a very big motivator. I mean, we all like to think the world is full of, good and sweet and wonderful things, that we're moving towards the carrot, but you know what? 70% of the time we're moving away from the stick. So the thing about this is, here we are trying to help people to grow their professional practices. And the mistake that most of us make when we come out of graduate school or whatever training you got to get out there and launch your practice is that we start promoting our practice, right? What could be more logical? Seems totally intuitive, right? But the thing is, no one cares about our practice, and the truth is nobody should care about our practice up front, because that's about us. People know about their pain. If I step on a tack, I don't need any education about where it hurts. It's very, very clear. So that's why pain is so important. And we're going to talk about two important things about pain, about how it simplifies your life, and how there's another really big bonus to being sort of pain-centric. So you don't have to love pain, but you're going to love pain, because pain is going to help you grow your practice if you start thinking about problems and pain and start educating people using the language of their pain, because then they recognize themselves in what you're saying. So that's where we're going with this, Chris.
And that's it's an amazing thing, because we all do love to avoid pain. I know that when I first heard about the topic of do you want to avoid pain or go towards pleasure, I was like, probably everybody listening to this call right now and this video, this webinar right now, this YouTube hangout on air live fun stuff right now. We're gonna have a little fun tonight. As you can tell, this is squirrel night. So anyway, but I was like, all of you probably are going, wait a minute, don't we want to go towards pleasure? I mean, look at the rest of the marketing that's out there. The rest of the marketing, make 6 figures in 6 months, make 6 figures in a day, live the millionaire lifestyle, have the millionaire mindset. Everybody, is right now flooding the market with things that are promoting pleasure, because pleasure is a great sense in our lives. The problem is pleasure is this temporary motivator. I'll tell you this, I love to make a lot of money. I also love to help a lot of people. But I'll tell you something, if I've got a tack in my shoe and that goes into my foot, I'm getting that out quicker than you can say, abracadabra, yabba dabba do, because I want to get away from that pain. Is that kind of, Dr. Mark, is that?
Absolutely, man, absolutely. I learned a long time ago not to go grocery shopping when I'm hungry. When I go grocery shopping when I'm hungry, I come home with a cart full of bad food that is just junky, because I'm hungry and I want to treat myself, and I'm starting to look at all the bad advertising that makes me want to buy the wrong things. Best to eat first, then go shopping. So what does that have to do with growing your professional practice? Well, we're trying to make it easier for you to figure out how to communicate with your ideal audience. We've talked a lot about your ideal audience, about how you're wired, how they're wired. Well, it doesn't take a lot of deep psychological insight to understand that people are wired to move away from pain. So we're all in business, and to be in business, you are in a problem-solving mode of some kind. So this is really just the art of translating. Can you look at what your profession is all about and make sure that anytime you're about to put something out in written form, whether you're blogging, whether you're doing video, that you stop for just a moment and say, wait a minute, who's my client, and what is it that I'm about to talk about? What is the problem I'm solving in what I'm talking about? And now it should actually get fundamentally easier for you to create the content that you were about to create. Okay, this is my ideal problem, my ideal client. You know, Jane Smith is my ideal client. I got her right in my mind. I'm picturing her clearly. What is going on in her life? Oh, that's right. That's the problem I can help Jane with. So now let me start talking to Jane about the problem and about how the problem relates to what I do in my practice. Now I'm telling stories. Now I'm communicating, and it starts to flow. And that's why it's going to make your marketing life so much easier, because you start to translate things that people don't really care about. People don't care about what, I spent, 19 years, 20, I know, actually 21 years I figured out, 21 years of education. Nobody cares what I learned in my textbooks or in my classwork and how I got my expertise. They want me to apply that expertise to ease their pain and make their life better. Yeah. So I've got to learn to speak their language, not mine. That's what we're talking about.
And here, here's what I feel is a good example. You're just talking about Jane Smith. So say Jane Smith is your ideal client, and say you are a time management.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jane. How you doing? Give us a call. Go to our website right below here, underneath my name. Right there, you go. But so say Jane Smith is your ideal client, and she has an issue with time management, and you are a time management guru. Most time management gurus, what they're going to do is come out and say, have more free times, do this and, get 3 more hours a day and that sort of thing. And that's great. But if you do that, you're a part of the herd. If you want to set yourself apart, you're going to say something like, do you want to spend more time with your children? Do you not want to miss your son's baseball game? I mean, think about that. So really listen to my voice. Think about that for a second. Which do you think is more powerful? Have more free time, or don't miss your son's baseball game or your daughter's dance recital? I mean, who out there would love to sign up for a time management program if they could help you avoid missing your daughter's dance recital? Because let's face it, when your brain thinks about time and having more free time, you're going to live another day. You're going to have, even though time is a limited resource, instinctively there's going to be a tomorrow, and you're going to have 24 more hours at the time the clock rolls over. But you also know instinctively that your 5-year-old daughter is only going to have one dance recital this year. And if that time management person can give you a way to see that dance recital, then the next question is, what's that worth to you? So when you look at the time management person, if you're a time management person out there, once again, think about it. You could be like everybody else and say, get more free time and have 18 more hours in a day and the 4-hour work week and all that other stuff, or you can have something concrete that people are going to really latch on to. And one of the other,
absolutely, because it's about, what are you missing in your life? If you think about it, how do I know that I need time management? If everything is wonderful in my life, then I don't perceive myself to need time management help. Right. It's the pain in my life. It's the things that I can't seem to fit in. It's the constant feeling stressed that, I've got all of these things to do, and it feels like I really need 28 hours a day to get it done, and I'm constantly falling behind. Those are all pain points. That's the things that are hurting and making it difficult for me to achieve my goals. And so when that time management guru starts to reach out and says, hey, are you having this problem? Are you feeling like you need 28 hours in every day? Are you feeling like you just never can get to the things that are really most valuable and most important in your life? I perk up because this person is now speaking my language. It's the definition of empathy, right? You're feeling my pain. That makes me want to perk up and listen, and instantly bonds me to you. It makes me say, wow, you get me, because that is exactly how I feel.
Exactly, and it all goes back to understanding your ideal client, because if your ideal client is Jane Smith, a mother with 3 kids, now remember, for those of you who haven't seen it, go back and watch our older videos. For those of you who have, you remember you don't start off identifying Jane Smith, a mother of 3 kids, by name. You figure out who you work best with and who your ideal client is by looking at your current client book, and then basically grouping them together and eventually classifying them. You don't start off by doing it right up front. But if you get down to the point that Jane Smith, the mother of 3 kids, ages 5 through 7, is your ideal client, then you're going to know, what do kids do when they're 5 through 7? Well, they have dance recitals, they have their first play, they have their first this, their first that. And then all of a sudden, instead of being like the typical time management guru saying, get more free time, you can say, do this or this or this, and it becomes much more personal. Now, Dr. Mark, we talked about 2 things. So the first one is getting down to really identify that pain point and focusing in a good way on that pain. What was the second one again that we were going to talk about?
Yeah, and just to really put that one in its bracket, I mean, the reason you're focusing, because I promise you, it makes your life so much easier. It's so much easier to communicate with your ideal client when you're speaking their language about their pain. But the second thing is there's a huge bonus to doing that, and that's that if you are marketing online, and you are marketing online, right? Because there's a huge audience, a huge way to connect with your audience, online here. So the point is that you're going to get rewarded because pain language is inherently is keyword language, and it's how the web works. It's how things are being indexed. If you are using your own professional language and you're talking about you're just lumping yourself in with all of your direct competitors using all of the same exact language, and that's not going to really help you rise up in the rankings for where you want to be. You want to show up in the rankings in front of your ideal client right at the moment that they go online to research what they really care about, which is not you, and it's not your profession, and it's not your professional category. It's them, it's their pain, it's what they're going through. So I go online to, let's keep beating that dead horse about time management, and say, so I go online and I say, wow, what do I do about time management? What do I do about being more efficient? I can't seem to get things done the way I want to. I need 28 hours in a day. And suddenly, if you've been speaking that language in the content that you're creating and putting out there, well, let's just step back for 1 second and remember what Google's primary mission in life is to create the perfect algorithm that matches the person with the solution with the person with the problem. Well, that's why we're speaking the same language too. Our mission is the same. Your mission is the same. You want Jane Smith, who is your ideal client. Did I just change her name, or was that her name? I can't
No, that's
remember
her
now.
name, Jane Smith. Hey, don't offend Jane.
Sorry, Jane. I apologize, Jane.
Jane's nice. She's a sweetheart. I mean, come
No, no,
on.
she just logged out. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jane. I hurt her feelings. I just saw her leave. No, Jane. So Jane Smith, Google wants Jane Smith to connect with you, Mr. or Ms. Time Management
Yeah.
practice guru. So when you create great content that is speaking to Jane in her language, you're using the keywords that Google is going to reward you with and put you right on page one there to show up when she's researching the pain that she has. Because pain is the primary driver of the language that people use when they go to the search engines. They're
Yeah.
searching for how do I, what do I, what's the best, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right? So
And
that's the bonus.
exactly. And they'll also search for things like I'm tired of, and then they'll put in their pain. So it's like I'm
Right.
tired of missing my, because people search for things much different in today's world than they did even 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, people would go out and put individual words in. Now when people want to find something, they will say things like, how do I get more time? But they will also say, like, I'm tired of missing my son's baseball game. What can I do about it? I'm tired of this, or I'm tired of that. So the whole point is when you create the great content, you lead with something, you lead with all the pain points. And then when you create the blog post about it, you're going to put in the other words, not necessarily the pleasure words, but, maybe the less direct pain words. Like you'll put in, how do I manage time better?
Right.
The title of your article becomes, it's kind of like in the old days, it's kind of when there used to be newspapers around. I know there's one or two left,
I've heard of
but
those.
yeah, you've heard of those. But it's the headline. So you think about it that way: is the headline and the thing that really you're putting out in front, and the way you would create attraction-based content marketing is to lead and to apply to focus heavily on the pain points, so that you can then get into the rest of the content, and so you can attract your ideal client to you, and so that you
Right.
don't have to pretend. So Dr. Mark, we got about a minute left here that we're
Yes, we do.
gonna kind of wind this down. Why don't you give the folks a quick 30-second summary on the 2 points from tonight?
All right, this quick 30-second summary is pain is your friend. Really, I promise you it is, because everyone wants to move away from pain. And let's face it, you want to move away from pain too. If part of your pain is building your practice because it's not where you want it to be yet, then understand that learning to speak the language of pain is what's going to help you get there. So speak the language of pain. It makes your marketing life easier. That was point number one. And number two, Google will reward you because you're making Google's life easier when you create great pain-centered content that then leads people to the solution that you have to offer. So those are our 2 bullet points. and we want to ease your pain about being able to follow what we're talking about here and doing here. And so what do we want people to do, Chris?
I want people to go down to ppbsociety.com and sign up. You'll get reminded on a weekly basis for these calls, which happen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. There'll be a new link every week, but it's Professional Practice Builders Society, and we want to see you on the flip side.
What he said.
Now, what he said.